This is OwlUp, where learning happens in minutes, not hours. For a deeper journey, explore all our courses at owlup.co. Now, let's dive in. Right now, most of what you hear on your favorite music app wasn't chosen by you. It was chosen for you. You tap play on one song, and suddenly you're in a carefully engineered tunnel of tracks, familiar, surprising, and quietly sculpted by code watching every skip. Every time you hit Next Episode on Netflix or let YouTube autoplay, you're stepping into another kind of invisible decision system, one that has quietly reshaped what becomes popular, what gets buried, and even what tastes normal to you. In Episode 1, we zoomed out to see how algorithms rank search results. Here, we're zooming in on a different power, algorithms that anticipate you. These systems don't just line up songs or videos. They notice when you binge late at night but barely watch on weekdays, which genres pull you back after a break, and how your habits change when you travel, move, or switch devices. They compare your behavior to millions of others, then constantly update a personal model of you that lives on distant servers, or now, increasingly, on your phone itself. In this episode, we'll unpack how that model is built, tuned, and used to decide your next obsession. On streaming platforms, that U-shaped model doesn't live alone. It's surrounded by maps of other people's tastes, libraries of song and video features, and logs of what happened when similar users were offered similar things. When you press play, the system isn't just guessing, it's running a quiet tournament. Thousands of possible tracks or shows compete, some because people like you loved them, some because their audio or visuals resemble what you enjoy, some because the system wants to test something unexpected. What reaches you has already survived this rapid-fire contest. Start with the scale. Every minute, Spotify logs over 100,000 fresh interactions. YouTube ingests more than 500 hours of new video. Your next playlist, or up next row, is being chosen against a background that's expanding faster than any human editor could scan. That's why recommendation systems are layered. Each layer narrows the field before the final tournament you just heard about even begins. One foundational layer is collaborative filtering. At its simplest, it asks, who behaves like you and what did they enjoy that you haven't seen yet? If people with your late-night listening habits and podcast preferences suddenly flock to a new artist, that artist quietly moves closer to your orbit. This doesn't require knowing why something fits, only that patterns in behavior line up. In parallel, content-based models look inside the files themselves. For music, they parse tempo, instrumentation, vocal timbre. For video, they read frames, subtitles, even pacing. That's how a platform can suggest a brand new track from an unknown singer that still feels like your favorite mood playlist, even when barely anyone has streamed it yet. Deeper still, neural embeddings turn you and every item into points in a dense mathematical space. If collaborative filtering is people who watched X also watched Y, embeddings are more like discovering that a niche lo-fi track and a mainstream pop song sit surprisingly close in a 128-dimensional taste map, even if they never co-occurred in simple stats. This is where serendipity often comes from. Now add the objective, not just more clicks, but more ongoing engagement. Netflix reports that about 80% of viewing hours come from its recommendations. YouTube once said 70% of watch time flowed from up next. So the system doesn't only model what's similar, it models what will keep you there one more song, one more episode. To balance that, platforms sometimes enforce diversity in results, mixing in fresh or risky picks beside safe bets. Think of it as a long-term investment portfolio, a core of stable blue chips, your comfort listens, plus a few speculative growth stocks, new genres, new creators, that might reshape your future tastes if they land. Picture opening a new account on a service you've never used. Zero playlists, zero watch history, no U-shaped data yet. This is the cold start problem. At first, the system leans on broad signals, country, device type, time of day, what's generally trending. It might even test a few very different options just to see how you react, then rapidly shrink toward a more precise guess of your tastes. Notice how your best clues rarely wear business problem name tags. They show up as awkward little rituals people repeat so often they stop seeing them. A sales rep quietly scrolling through 6 Slack channels to piece together one customer story. A teacher staying late every Friday to retype handwritten notes into 3 different systems. A dentist's office calling patients one by one because the reminder software keeps breaking. These aren't annoyances in the abstract, they're recurring patterns of behavior. Each pattern hides a why worth chasing. Why hasn't the sales rep built a better dashboard? Why doesn't the teacher quit one of those systems? Why does the office still trust phone calls over text? Here's where your curiosity pays off. Instead of asking, would you use an app that, anchor yourself in what they already do when no one's watching. The more specific the scene, the clearer the opportunity. A particular role, in a particular context, wrestling with a particular constraint. That's the level of detail where real startup ideas start to solidify. 42% of failed founders never lacked talent or funding, they just hunted in the wrong direction. As AI makes build almost trivial, the scarce skill is noticing which rough edge is worth smoothing and when. Think of it like scanning a stock market of human behavior. Each recurring workaround is a mispriced asset. Your edge comes from spotting patterns early, then testing tiny trades with prototypes before regulators, incumbents, or copycats reprice the opportunity. Your challenge this week: for 3 days, pick one environment you're already in, your workplace, a community you belong to, or a tool you use daily. Each day, shadow one specific role for 30 minutes, not literally, but by asking them to narrate what they're doing and why. Capture 3 recurring workarounds they use to get through their tasks. By week's end, pick one workaround and write a 1-page alternate universe where that friction simply doesn't exist. No product, just the new reality described in concrete detail. Good ideas rarely announce themselves. They hide in plain sight, like weeds pushing through sidewalk cracks. The more you train yourself to notice those small breaks in the pavement of daily life, the more lucky you'll seem. Stay with the questions longer than feels comfortable. That's usually where an ordinary irritation turns into a real opportunity. Before next week, ask yourself: 1. Which frustrating problem do I personally face at least once a week, at work, in my hobbies, or daily life, and what would a magically perfect solution actually look like in practice? 2. If I spent just one afternoon shadowing or interviewing 3 people in a niche I care about, for example, indie creators, local restaurant owners, or remote team leads, what exactly would I ask them to uncover their biggest, repeated headaches? 3. Looking at the last 10 tools, apps, services I used, which one annoys me the most, and what is one realistic way I could make that experience 10 times better for a very specific type of user? This was OwlUp, your daily step forward. To keep learning with structured courses and more insights, go to owlup.co. Until tomorrow!